Are you familiar with the name? Verica Obrenovic, who is considered the Serbian Vanga and Serbian Nostradamus. Did you know that many of her predictions have already come true? Watch the video until the end, and you'll find out what the world will be like in the next few years. And why little is known about Verica Obrenovic's life. Are you ready? Then grab a couple of pancakes, pour some tea, and let's go. The biography of Verica Obrenovic. Verica Obrenovic is called one of the most mysterious figures in Serbian history, known as the Serbian Nostradamus. She became famous for her predictions, closely collaborating with government circles and the military. Her prophecies concerned various world events and natural disasters. Details of Verica Obrenovic's personal life remain hidden. It is known that she was born in a small town, Sarajevo, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and lived in the capital of Serbia. Her last name, Obrenovic, is connected to the Serbian royal dynasty, members of which have repeatedly held high government positions. The last ruler from the Obrenovic family was King Alexander Obrenovic, who ruled the country from 1889 to 1903. The belief in Verica Obrenovic's ability to predict fate remains, to this day. She left behind a rich legacy, including predictions of political events and natural disasters. Verica worked with Yugoslav military and politicians, helping them navigate the turbulent political landscape and natural disasters. The life and activities of Verica Obrenovic were shrouded in mystery, and only in recent years, her predictions became public knowledge. Her predictions concerned events in Yugoslavia, Serbia, and other countries, including both short-term and long-term forecasts. Verica's inspiring predictions continue to attract attention, becoming a guide for politicians and ordinary people wanting to know the future. Her death on July 22, 2019, caused a wide public resonance. However, the details of her passing remain unknown. Verica Obrenovic is not the first to leave a mark in history as the greatest fortune teller in the world. Who else has tried to predict the future and succeeded? Michel de Nostradamus, born in 1503, is a figure surrounded by numerous controversies. His life is intertwined with the history of France, Spain, and Portugal, and his ancestry traces back to an ancient Jewish Sephardic lineage that migrated from the Iberian Peninsula to France. His real last name is Michel de Nostradamus, but he is more commonly referred to as Nostradamus. Nostradamus is credited with accurate predictions of the French Revolution, the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, World War I and II, as well as the emergence of Adolf Hitler. In his works, there are mentions of the COVID-19 pandemic that struck the world in 2020. As for the end of the world, Nostradamus allegedly predicted that it would occur in 3797, in the year 1797. Nostradamus's lineage came from a family of Sephardic Jews who settled in France. Michel's grandfather, Yson, worked as a notary in Avignon and converted to Christianity, becoming Pierre de Nostradamus. Michel's father carried the last name Nostradamus and practiced law. His grandparents practiced medicine in Orleans and Saint Remy. Michel studied Latin grammar, Hebrew-Greek philosophy, and mathematics. He showed a particular interest in astrology, which led to him being called the Little Stargazer. Michel de Nostradamus, widely known as Nostradamus, was not only a seer but also a physician, pharmacist, astrologer, and alchemist. He began his education at the age of 14 at the University of Avignon, when Europe was already suffering from a plague epidemic. In search of a cure for this disease, he traveled to various countries in Europe, including Italy, Switzerland, southern France, and Germany. He spent some time in a monastery and later returned to Marseille and Aix, where he helped fight the pneumonic plague, working as an assistant to physician Louis Serra. Nostradamus actively studied medicinal herbs, creating a recipe for pink pills designed to protect the respiratory system from plague infection. These pills, containing pink petals, cloves, aloe, and shavings of young cypress, were held in the mouth, protecting the body from the spread of infection. Although the medical community criticized his fascination with folk medicine, believing he was making poisons and narcotics, his recipes were successful, relying solely on natural ingredients rich in essential oils that provided antibacterial protection. In addition to developing preventive measures, Nostradamus proposed the idea of a smallpox vaccination that was to be used to combat smallpox epidemics. However, the idea did not find support among his contemporaries, and smallpox vaccination only began 200 years later thanks to the efforts of Edward Jenner. His scientific achievements also include the discovery of two circulatory systems in humans, which was later confirmed by the work of William Harvey. In 1534, Michel de Nostradame graduated from the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Montpellier, earning the title of Doctor of Medicine, which allowed him to sign his works as Nostradamus. Nostradamus's first astrological works were published in 1555, but his contemporaries did not take him seriously as an astrologer, criticizing him for his mistakes. Nostradamus became a famous prophet thanks to his work Centuries, which contains riddles and encoded messages. This collection consisted of 353 quatrains, written in a poetic style, containing predictions about the fates of people and future events. His work spread across Europe, attracting the attention of rulers and aristocrats. The first publication of his works went unnoticed, but his popularity sharply increased after he predicted the death of King Henry II, which actually happened. After that, Nostradamus was appointed as court physician and astrologer at the court of Catherine de' Medici, which increased his influence. Michel continued to work on his astrological books, releasing small collections of quatrains annually. In total, during his lifetime, he created about 10 centuries, consisting of a total of 942 quatrains dedicated to various aspects of life and culture. In his works, Nostradamus often commented on historical events of past centuries, making predictions for the future. For example, he predicted the development of the countries in America, referring to it as the West, free from the British Isles and as new land, as well as foreseeing events in Russia, describing it as Aquilian, Gaul, Babylon, and a land with a climate opposite to that of Babylon. He also mentioned the emergence of the socialist movement in Marx, the spread of electricity, radio, and television, as well as predicting space exploration. In the last days of his life, Michel lived in difficult conditions, suffering from gout and asthma attacks. He passed away on July 2, 1566, and his remains were buried in the wall of the Franciscan Minorites in Ceylon. A few decades after his death, his grave was destroyed by Jacobin rebels, but admirers restored it, placing Nostradamus's remains in the Church of St. Lawrence in Ceylon. Vanga is a legendary seer from Bulgaria whose real name is Vanga Pandova Dimitrova, also known as Serchiva. She was born on January 31, 1911, in Strumica, which was then part of the Ottoman Empire and is now part of North Macedonia. Vanga's early years were difficult. Her mother died when the girl was only 3 years old, and her father went to the front, leaving her to be raised by neighbors. How did Vanga lose her sight? According to this story, at the age of 12, she was caught in a powerful hurricane or tornado that lifted her into the air and carried her a significant distance. When she was found, her eyes were severely damaged by sand blown in by the wind. Vanga was treated by local doctors, but unsuccessfully. In the end, she remained blind. It is believed that it was after this event that she began to show her unusual abilities for predictions and clairvoyance. Young Vanga lived and studied at a specialized institution for the blind, which was located in what is now Serbia. The education she received there turned out to be quite respectable. The girl mastered skills in playing the piano, knitting, cooking, and also studied a number of school subjects, such as math, foreign languages, and music. Later, Vanga returned to her hometown of Strumica to help her stepmother, who was going through the difficult aftermath of childbirth. In her mature years, Vanga married Dmitar Gustrov, and they moved to the town of Petrich, located at the border of Bulgaria, Macedonia, and Greece. Despite having children, she continued to lead an active life, staying connected with family and friends. In her later years, Vanga suffered from cancer but refused treatment, preferring to cope with the illness on her own. She predicted the date of her death and passed away with a gentle smile on her face, affirming her inner control over events. Her funeral took place in 1996. The body was buried in her own house, built next to the church of St. Petka in Petrich. In 2008, a museum dedicated to the memory of Vanga was opened in Petrich, where her personal belongings and photographs are kept. Vanga's gift began to unfold in the 1940s when she started predicting the destinies of the residents of her village and interpreting their dreams. Interestingly, during these sessions, Vanga's voice would change, becoming deep and masculine. She claimed to hear the voices of the deceased and communicate with higher powers. At first, Vanga hid her abilities, fearing that she would be considered insane. However, gradually the rumors about her gift began to spread among acquaintances and friends, until they reached a global scale. Despite her deep religiosity, Vanga was orthodox. She realized that in the eyes of the church, such abilities could be seen as witchcraft. Nevertheless, when her predictions and healing began to bring real benefits to people, she became convinced that she possessed a divine gift, not a devilish one. Initially, Vanga helped the families of soldiers by providing them with information about the fates of their loved ones in the war. Over time, the flow of people seeking advice or predictions became so large that up to 130 people came to her daily. Throughout her life, Vanga maintained a strong connection with religion, preaching faith in Jesus Christ and urging people towards kindness and wisdom. At the same time, she interpreted biblical parables in her own way and even created her own prayers. One of Vanga's favorite stories was about Noah's Ark, which, according to her, was just a few steps from her home, and she could touch its warm wood. This story evokes different interpretations among her gift's admirers. Researchers estimated that throughout her life, Vanga made about 7,000 prophecies. Of these, about 80% turned out to be accurate, which confirms her reputation as one of the most famous and respected clairvoyants of the 20th century. Since 1967, Vanga officially became a civil servant in Bulgaria, receiving a monthly salary of 200 leva. Before that, she accepted people for free, content with just gifts. With her official status, more and more famous guests began to visit Vanga, including politicians, writers, actors, and scientists. Among them were Bulgarian King Simeon II, the leader of the Bulgarian Communist Party Todor Zhivkov, Soviet writers Leonov, as well as representatives of Russian President Boris Yeltsin. From 1967 to 1991, Vanga brought the state an income of approximately $10 million. However, her activities were under strict control by the authorities. Despite her position, Vanga continued to lead a modest life. She hardly touched the money. Relatives and assistants took care of her daily expenses. Even in her old age and while being ill, Vanga found the strength to receive people in need of her help. Every day, more than 100 people came to Vanga, and she predicted their fate using pieces of sugar. Before visiting Vanga, visitors would place sugar under their pillow overnight. In total, over 2 tons of sugar were used in this way during her work. Although opinions about Vanga vary, her ability to see the future and predict events is recognized by many. Verica Obrenovic, known as the Serbian Vanga or the Serbian Nostradamus, was one of the most famous Serbian clairvoyants. Her collaboration with government structures and her ability to forecast future events made her a highly respected figure in the political arena. One of the most significant moments in Verica's career was her prediction about the state of the world from 2016 to 2030, made in 2015. She stated that humanity is facing numerous upheavals, both political and environmental in nature. These predictions influenced the strategic plans and decisions of many political leaders. Obrenović was renowned for her accuracy in predicting the fate of political events and natural disasters. Her forecasts covered a wide range of topics, from international conflicts to natural disasters. She made predictions for Yugoslavia, Serbia, and other countries, as well as long-term forecasts for the future. In 2007, Verica predicted that Brazil would face floods that would damage coffee plantations. Terrible rains were expected in Vietnam. As for Japan, she foresaw a tsunami due to a power plant accident and mentioned that problems within it have existed for a long time but remain unresolved. A major disaster will occur in China. Many people will die. A period of mourning will be declared. It will last for 3 days. A tsunami did indeed occur in Japan in March 2011, caused by an earthquake and the Fukushima 1 nuclear power plant accident. At that time, more than 20,000 people died. In China, a 3-day mourning period was declared in 2008 after a monstrous earthquake that killed tens of thousands. But what worried Verica the most was the eruption of the volcano in Yellowstone Park in the U.S. It will awaken soon. The eruption will be so powerful that several earthquakes may occur. The world will be plunged into darkness as a cloud of dust blocks the sun. A cooling will occur. The so-called Little Ice Age will begin. This prediction was made in 2015. Will this prophecy come true? I would like to believe it won't. No. Should we believe the predictions of Obrenović? Everyone decides for themselves. I will only say that much of what she said has indeed come true, while some is still waiting for its time. Be that as it may, let's believe in our shared bright future. Friends, I want to offer you a very interesting project. You have a unique opportunity to become part of our team. If you have skills in video editing, can voice videos in Russian, English, and other languages, or write interesting scripts, we would be happy to work with you. Write to our Telegram bot. The link is in the description. That's all for today. Until we meet again.